even when it came to lower level administration officials like Carter Page and George Papadopoulos, they couldn't establish collusion with the Russian government, even for them. Democrats were saying, oh, we're going to get him on collusion, and then we could do impeachment proceedings. Well, they didn't get him on collusion. The Mueller report did not get him on collusion. And many of the bombshell stories that the media ran with and were giant for like 2 or 3 days, those turned out to be totally untrue.
It's become super popular since the William Barr letter was released a few weeks ago for people on the right and even some people on the left who we've talked about, so-called Russia skeptics, to make a really big show out of demanding apologies from people. Are you ready to apologize for being so wrong about Russia? Are you ready to apologize to your viewers, to Donald Trump, to everybody else? But now that we've actually gotten the Mueller report, which almost everything that was asserted by serious investigative news outlets and reported by them during the 2 years of this investigation has been confirmed to be true by the Mueller report.
Okay, but was the reason Trump did that, is it because he was trying to cover up fundamental crimes, like cover up collusion, or was he doing that because he hated the investigation and resented it and actually thought it was a hoax and a witch hunt and should have never started in the first place? Now, from a legal perspective, I'm not sure that matters.
Remember that story from BuzzFeed which claimed that Trump told Michael Cohen to lie to Congress, and it was widely touted as fake news, Trump touting it as fake news and the enemy of the people and all of that stuff? Well, if you look at the actual content of the Mueller report, it, quote, finds that Cohen lied, and he did so at what he believed to be the president's behest.
The failure to establish intent was the whole crux of why Mueller couldn't say definitively, like, yes, he obstructed justice. Because in order, I think, to demonstrate that and to make a solid conclusion on it, you would have to establish the intent, and he couldn't do it because it's unclear whether or not Trump was basically obstructing because he's a giant idiot and he thought the whole investigation was dumb in the first place, and so he didn't think there was any issue with trying to stop an investigation that he doesn't think should have happened in the first place.
That the president knew he was giving false testimony, and that the president's lawyers encouraged that testimony. In his report, Mueller wrote that Trump's attorney told Cohen to, quote, stay on message and not contradict the president. It's confirmation of the story. This was a big deal in...
Again, this is not something that I think is a big deal. They also go on to say Putin and his minions couldn't figure out how to get a line to the Trump people on the campaign trail. So even when they wanted to, like, oh, let's talk to them, they couldn't do it because they had trouble finding a line to his campaign. I mean, guys, come on. The idea that this dumbass and his merry band of gangster idiots, like they were geniuses and they somehow were doing this, like, Tom Clancy level novel Manchurian Candidate thing, it's honestly goofy.
The Mueller report confirms that Trump Jr. immediately was super interested in this meeting. It was communicated within the campaign. Everybody was really eager to get dirt on Hillary Clinton from the Russians. The reporting on the story was almost completely accurate despite all of the denials. Still doesn't mean Trump personally colluded with Putin. Nobody was seriously saying that was going to be the outcome.
They've dropped the collusion part, where people were mostly harping away on collusion, and now it's just morphed into, well, let's just talk about the obstruction endlessly, and let's maybe start impeachment proceedings, which keeps the conversation nailed down on this topic, which I don't think is a good thing. I think it will resonate with the American people when he makes the argument, you're going to come after me for obstruction of justice when Mueller said there was no collusion. So you're going after me for obstructing something where there was no original crime. So how could it be obstruction if there was no collusion?
More than a year ago, it was reported that Donald Trump ordered Don McGahn, the White House counsel, to fire Robert Mueller. And Don McGahn reportedly refused, saying, we're not going to do that. That would be a bad idea. Those reports were called fake news by Trump. It was called fake news by Fox News. And the Mueller report confirms that the reports were true.
You know, Bill Clinton, when he lied about getting the blowjob from Monica Lewinsky, and then they, started impeachment proceedings, and they said, well, he lied under oath. But the argument from the Clinton people was like, well, listen, if you're lying about a question that shouldn't have been asked in the first place, you're nitpicking here and you're splitting hairs, and you shouldn't be. And Bill Clinton's approval rating went up. So